Hi. Hello, everybody. How we doing today? I hope that we are doing well. I hope that we are doing our best. Or at the very least, I hope that we're surviving. I will accept surviving. Surviving is acceptable. All right, let's see. Hello, Water Knight. Hello, Torg. Hello, Appa. Hello, Kingwin. Hello, Tristira. Hello, Water Knight again. Hello, Astral. Hello, Drawrithrax. Hello, Data Foxy. Hello, Phi. How you doing? How you doing, everybody? I'm back. I'm back. It's good to be back. I mean, I don't know how back I am, but I'm at least back and streaming, and I'm very, very happy to be back. Ah, we're so back. I don't know how back we're gonna be, but because I do have some obligations at the end of this week, and but yeah, we're somewhat back. Doing weird. I thought I had exam today, but it's tomorrow. Well, better to think that the exam's today when it's tomorrow than to think it's tomorrow when it's today. Hey Warpy, how you doing? Yeah, it is pretty hot out. It's hot out over here too. I can't handle it. It's bad. I want to go on a walk, but I don't dare go on a walk. I'm a little scared to go out in the heat. I'm very weak. Oh, but I'm back. I have been on a bit of a hiatus. I took a break there for a little while. The end of the semester just got to me, and things only got a little wackier once the semester was drawing to a close. So after my hiatus started, some really wacky stuff happened, some of which you may have heard about on the news or on the Reddits. Some wacky stuff happened in the educational space that directly affected me and made my life a bit more hectic for a little bit. So I'm glad that I took a break, or else who knows what would have happened to my brain. Yeah, it did get hot really quick. It like went from like cool to hot with no like perfectly acceptable weather in between where I am, and that makes me very, very sad. Then again, I have like a very narrow range in which I'm comfortable temperature-wise, so there's no winning for me, I think. Did I miss anything exciting? I hope I didn't miss anything too exciting. Let's see. Well, when I was gone, I was mostly working. I was just working a lot. I was working on so much. I had so much work to do. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's basically what was happening on my end. So much work to do, and like, I was calling it like Murphy's Law or like Murphy's end of the semester. Just everything that could go wrong felt like it was going wrong, and like some things that I didn't know could go wrong or I didn't anticipate going wrong went wrong. But we survived. We made it through. The semester is over for me now. I am alive. Everything's done. All the grades are in, and I'm very happy to be back. I owe you all a video, by the way. I owe you all a video. I have most of the script written for that graphs video that I promised, but I haven't finished the script. I haven't edited it. I need to make pictures of all the graph things that I'm going to be talking about, and I haven't done that, and of course I haven't recorded it, but it's on my list. I haven't forgotten that I said I would do that. I'm also thinking that I might, so I'm going to be doing a lot of work this summer. I've got a lot of work this summer to prepare for the fall semester, because there's some exciting stuff happening this fall semester, but it's going to take a lot of like prep work for me. So I'm going to be doing some prep work this semester, and I thought, you know, was it last summer or the summer before that I did like, that I did co-working streams? I think this summer, rather than doing co-working streams, well, I'm like brushing up on some material for some classes I'm going to teach next semester, I thought I'd do another lecture series. It's been a while since I did that statistics lecture series, and I thought it would be fun to do one on research methods. So I might be doing a research methods one again. I'm going to try and do it like regularly scheduled, same day of the week, same time of the week, for pretty consistently, but I will probably have to take 1 or 2 weeks, like skip 1 or 2 weeks or reschedule 1 or 2 because of other summer obligations. Yeah, research methods, I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited about it. And I think I'm going to cap it all off. I have a lecture version of it, but I want to make a video. I wonder what you define as research methods. It's a really broad definition. Basically, how we do research, the scientific method, different study designs, statistics for study designs, internal, external validity, ethics is also in there as well. Like qualitative analysis, quantitative analysis. And I also have like a bit on the replication crisis, but I think I'm gonna make the replication crisis one a separate video. I think I will, because I really, it's a scary story, but I love telling that story. Well, I don't know if scary is the right word for it. It's a very interesting story, and it really gets me thinking a lot, and I really like telling the story because, like, when I started grad school, we were kind of like right in the thick of it. We were right in the middle of the replication crisis, and everybody was freaking out and talking about it. So I feel kind of like, oh, hey, Nap, how you doing? I feel like doing it. Oh. Oh no, I just got a question that I know what it's talking about, but I don't know the correct answer to the question. I'll do my best when we get there. But yeah, you may notice that I have, hey Maury, how you doing? How you doing? I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Chat sitting around the campfire telling replications crisis. I would love to do that. It would be really fun if I could get other people to tell me their stories about replication crisis. I'm sorry, Maury. I'm sorry, Maury. I listen. I feel like this is one of the things. Like, there's this. Don't cry. Hey, Maury, I'm streaming today. I'm streaming at 5 p.m. today, Maury. Anyway. Right, right. Yeah, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, the question form. If you want to ask any questions, feel free to hop into the pinned Google Docs. Maury, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Maury. Thank you for coming. Anyway, yeah. So if you want to ask any questions, feel free to drop them. I have the questions that I received before the stream started in the PowerPoint here, but I'm happy to add in some more questions. Hey, CDM, how you doing? I only got a few, so I'm happy to take in more questions, or if this is going to be a short stream, then it'll just be a short stream, and maybe I'll force myself to go on a walk in the hot weather and cry about it a bit, maybe. I don't know. Do questions have to be specifically research related or social psych in general? It can be social psych in general. It can be research. It can be academia. It can be psychology more broadly. I can't guarantee I'll be as good at psychology more broadly as I will be, with social psych and stuff like that. But yeah, anything, whatever. Whatever. I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Life's been hectic, but we live, we survive, we thrive. Mm-hmm. Yes. All right, I am going to start. First question I got was from Gaussian. It says, the most interesting random gen ed you had to take it in undergrad. So yeah, really, like, you can ask whatever. I'm kind of like expecting like psychology and stuff, questions like that, but I'm happy to also answer questions like this because I love this class that I took. I think I know gen eds get a lot of like kind of a bad rap of like, oh, they're making me take these classes and like these classes aren't relevant to my degree. But you can find some really, really fun gen ed classes that are just awesome, and that's how I got this one. I think I don't remember exactly which gen ed requirement it was fulfilling, but what is that? Oh yeah, I don't know if y'all have gen eds over there because my understanding of like the UK's education system is that it's a lot more like drilled in and focused in on one specific like educational sort of career path, like at a lot of an earlier point than it is in America. I don't know for sure, but that's kind of my impression that I've gotten. A gen ed is they're classes that you are required to take for your degree or to get a degree, but everybody at the university is required to take them. And the idea is they're supposed to sort of broaden your horizons. So like they're either supposed to like get you some base skills or broaden your horizons or like some combination. So like you have to take X number of math classes as a gen ed just to get everybody at like a certain level of math education. You have to take X number of writing classes or literature classes, history classes. You have to take X number of semesters or quarters of a language, that kind of thing. Gen eds are, yeah, they're like basically these are sort of more general skills that we think that you'll need in every major, or they're supposed to encourage critical thinking, or they're supposed to give you a broader understanding of the world, not necessarily within the context of your major, outside of the context of your major. That's kind of the idea. They make business majors take ethics classes. You wouldn't know. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, we start narrowing down at like year 9, so like 15. Dang, that is wild. Like, how do you know? How do you know? Man, that is wild. I was so not ready to pick a career. Like I picked a career path pretty early on relative to a lot of people, I think, but like how do you pick that early in life? That seems kind of scary, honestly. But yeah, that's gen eds. That's what gen eds are. Everyone would definitely take some writing composition classes. I agree. I agree. I don't envy the people who have to teach writing and composition classes though. Actually, I'm proposing a writing class at my university. I'm proposing a new writing class. Well, it's not a new writing class. It's like a special topics combination writing class. And I'm actually really looking forward to that. So maybe I do kind of envy people who do writing classes. I don't know. But anyway, the answer to this question is, as part of my gen eds, I took a class on Russian fairy tales. Russian folklore and fairy tales, and that was such a fun class. Uh, Oh yeah, Torg, I totally agree. I envy people who can teach a special topics class. I'm sure you could, Fi. I think you could, absolutely. I think you could teach a special topics class. Um, I got really lucky. Like an opportunity presented itself for normally in my job position, I think, they mostly need me to teach the required classes and stuff like that. Like the mean baseline classes like statistics and research methods and stuff like that. And they tend to leave like more specialized classes to other people and like maybe more tenure track faculty or things like that, or more research focused faculty. But I got really lucky in that my university, or my department, has a class. So part of like the accreditation criteria for psychology programs in the US, as I understand it, is that you have to do a class that, I don't know if this is a US thing or if this is like a my university thing or something. Either way, majors in my program are required to take a class that requires at least 15 pages of writing. There's like a writing component to the psychology degree. And there are various ways that they can do this. We have various classes that they can take to meet that writing component, but one of them is essentially a special topics class. Like, faculty can propose to teach on some topic that they're familiar with or passionate about or whatever. And then they can teach that class and then assign writing assignments in the style of like psychological writing and stuff like that. And so I was able to like do both things of like, I get to teach a special topics class on my like special little area of interest while also serving the undergrads and giving them an opportunity to get this writing thing that they're required for their degree. I really hope I get to teach it. I've only just proposed it. And I think some people in my program, like some of the people, other faculty in my program saw my proposal and they said, "Oh, that sounds really cool." So I'm optimistic. I hope I get to teach it, but that wouldn't be until like next spring at the earliest, I think. I'm very excited. I think we cut to like 7 GCSEs and then 3 or 4, 3.5 A levels, then a degree. I think you're using so many terms I don't know. I really need to get a better understanding of education levels all over the world. And I wish I could do a special topics class in public school. Right. Right. I think when I was really young, I did get like, I was briefly in a gifted program, like very briefly, not too long, but they did like a mini special topics unit as part of that. And it was actually about the brain. I'd forgotten about this. This was so long ago. This was when I was in middle school, but they had a special like brain thing. But yeah, you don't really get special topics class in like Elementary, middle, high school. I unlocked a secret memory. Yeah, I had forgotten about that. I'd completely forgotten that happened. But yeah, yeah, the class was a Russian fairy tales class, and we learned all about like Russian folklore and various creatures and Russian folklore, Russian mythology, things like that. We learned about Baba Yaga, we learned about domovoys, we learned about Rusalkas, we read a whole bunch of fairy tales. We learned about how Russian fairy tales are structured, how they're written, tropes in them, like common symbolism, all that stuff. And I really, 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 really enjoyed that class. And I never would have taken it, but I needed a gen ed. And I'm really regretting, like, not taking more opportunities when I was an undergrad to take these sort of fun classes that had nothing to do with my major, but were just really fun. Because, like, I think some of those classes are classes that, like, really changed a lot about how I think and how I approach the world, and like just also they taught me just some really cool stuff. So yeah, my the Russian fairy tales class I took was the most interesting gen ed class I took. I saved like I got rid of and sold most of my textbooks from undergrad that weren't related to psychology. I kept all my psych books, but I got rid of most of the rest. But I think the only gen ed class where I kept my textbooks was the Russian fairy tales one, and I still have my Russian fairy tales books up on my dresser in my bedroom. They're right there, so and I have referred to them in the years since, just because, it was really fun. It was really fun. I definitely recommend. Like, there are some really creative, fun, like, depending on the university you're at, there are some really fun things you can do to do your gen eds. The gen eds are not like, they're not a chore. If you can find some really fun classes to take for a gen ed, and I highly recommend that you look for them. Like, a lot of the time I see a lot of students like saying, like, just trying to find the easiest thing that meets a gen ed requirement. And like, I get it. But I think it's more fun to look for the gen eds that you think are going to be interesting. Because if you're interested enough in it, I think it's going to come to you a bit easier, or at least it's going to be easier to motivate yourself to study, and you might get something out of it. GCSEs map to 8th to 10th grade, then A-levels, and BTech map to 11th and 12th grade, I think. I really need to read more about your education system. I do not. Like, it's doing my brain. Not easiest, always pick something you're actually interested in, right? I agree, Maury. Like, you can take an easy class that bores you out of your mind, and then you don't pay attention, and then you feel like you got nothing out of it, and then you just leave feeling like that was a complete waste of time. Gen eds, like, of course, I don't think gen eds are a waste of time, but they don't even have to feel like a waste of time, right? You can find gen eds that other people may not be looking for. And I do worry that a lot of those gen eds are going away, though, because we don't have, like, a lot of universities are having to cut a lot of costs, and gen eds that people don't take, like the Russian fairy tales class, if people weren't signing up for that all that much, then they would just cut it, and they would just, like, they probably would have gotten rid of it and just added more seats to these bigger, more general, I don't want to say boring gen eds, but maybe less interesting, less unique gen eds, just because people were just going for what was easy over what sounded fun. And that makes me sad. Sounds like high school? Maybe. Maybe. But yeah, I think my high school didn't really have a lot of very exciting classes, or like unique classes, I think. We had some, I think, but like I think the really unique kind of exciting high school classes we had were like, the closest thing I can think of is like environmental science, or environmental science we had. And then the other one was like, I did theater tech. I was on the tech crew for theater, building sets and stuff. I mostly did painting sets and stuff like that, but yeah. College is great, though. You can take some really interesting classes. I really want to, as a teacher, I can take a free class every semester, or at least once a year, I think. I don't remember exactly theoretically, but like it seems complicated to make it work. But there's so many cool classes I've heard about at my university that I really want to take. I was held to a lower standard. Ironically, my grade suffers for it. Oh, yeah, yeah, that. I do think that's the case. Like, when you lower your standards, it will end up making students not care as much, and the less students care, the less they try, and I think they think they can get away with just not paying attention. They might not even notice the interesting and cool things and just like, yeah, it's sad. For my most of my elective courses in undergrad, I took political sciences, neat complement to horticulture for sure. Oh, that's cool. I just coincidentally ended up taking a lot of classes related to like Russia for some reason. Like I wanted to take there were a bunch of classes I wanted to take, but they filled up really fast, and then I ended up in the Russian fairy tales class. Because there was like some mythology class I wanted to take, but it was full, so I stumbled into Russian fairy tales and I liked it. And then I tried to take like the usual gen ed for the literature requirement, and the teaching style really was not working for me. And that was the first and only time I dropped a class. I dropped that class and signed up for a Russian literature class because I had enjoyed the Russian fairy tales class, and I'm like, I wonder if any of that knowledge carries over to Russian literature. And then I ended up for one of my history gen eds, I ended up taking a Russian history class just because like I wanted to get historical context for like a lot of the literature and the like, that kind of stuff. And just I somehow just ended up stumbling into a bunch of like Russia related classes for my gen ed, and my advisor was like, why don't you major in Russian? And I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to take Russian. Just like, then why are you taking all these Russian related classes? And I'm like, look, the Russian fairy tales class was really good, okay. Did a green energy optional module. It was pretty depressing. Yeah. Yeah, the environmental science class was really fun. I loved the teacher. The material was really interesting. And as part of it, we had to do a book report on an environmental sciences related book. And I read some book about the red tide, and it was really depressing. Russian's not the easiest, that's for sure, at least as a native English speaker. Yeah. My roommate in undergrad took a whole bunch of like language classes. I think in our time there, she took French, she took Arabic, and she took Russian, and now she's learning Spanish. She's like learning so many languages. It's ridiculous. I think she took the most Arabic, but she said out of all the languages she was learning in college, which she took 3 different languages in undergrad, I think she said Russian was the hardest. Yeah. Oh man, that was a really long-winded. Yeah, yeah. There's another VTuber majored in environmental science, and the depression cooked her brain. That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me. I'm sure that that's like a really rough thing to I feel like a lot of things are really rough to study. I know, like, y'all know focused on conspiracy theories, and that meant I was also dabbling a lot in political psychology, and man, that was depressing. I kind of tend to call social psychologists, I think all of well, not all of social psychology, but a huge chunk of social psychology, I kind of call us ambulance chasers. Because we're rarely ever studying positive things, it feels like. A lot of the time we're like looking at negative and scary things. In Brazil, the list of subjects is kind of already picked for you once you enroll in university. You can take electives and subjects from other courses, but the priority was for students of that course. That makes sense, CDM. It's kind of like that, but also, I don't know how to put it. I wish I took the magic and witchcraft class. Oh my god, that sounds amazing. I would love to take that class. Also, which environmental science book did you read? I wonder if I still have it. I might have left it at my parents' house when I moved out a billion years ago. Let me see. I think it's literally just called Red Tide. No, that's not it. Red Tide environmental book. It was... I don't know. All I know is it was a book about, like, toxic algae, and it was like historical prose. Red tide is in a red algae bloom. Yes, it was about a red algae bloom, like a particular case of a giant red algae bloom that just decimated an ecosystem. Yeah. The module structured as constructing the UK's energy consumption and potential energy generation and seeing the potential just green bar shrink more and more compared to consumption was, yeah. Oh yeah, I read that. Yeah, I wish I could remember the book. No, I don't want short video. Does Google no longer allow, like, have books as, like, one of the first things that you can search for? Like, it's no longer a thing that you can, like, look at. That makes me so sad. Oh. Yeah, I can't. Zodiac by Neil Stevenson is also a good environmental science fiction book if that's what we're talking about. Oh yeah, no, it's not a. It's a true book. Like it's about like an actual. It's not fictional. It was. It's kind of like. What's that guy? There's that guy who wrote like Dead Wake and Devil in the White City and stuff. It's kind of that style. It's like descriptions of a historical event, and well, like, obviously with a lot of research done and stuff like that. But it was, oh wait, was that it? But it was written as if it was a story. Eric Larson, yeah, it was written sort of in this style of Eric Larson. Well, not his style, but like that sort of vibe. It was a description of historical events in the form of prose, as if it were a story. Narrative nonfiction. Yes. Thank you. I should have asked you right away, Maury. Like, I feel so silly. Of course, you would be the person to ask, like, how do you describe this genre? Narrative nonfiction. It was narrative nonfiction. Yes, exactly that. Exactly that. And I wish I could find the book. If I do find the book, I'm gonna keep looking for it, because this is gonna bug me. But... oh, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry because I'm not gonna be able to find it. It's gonna bug me for the rest of the day. No worries, you can do it later. I know, but now I'm like hooked on it. Or creative nonfiction, but I've seen narrative amount more recently. That makes sense. That makes sense. Was it Dead Zones, maybe? No, it couldn't have been that one. Because that came out after I read this book. Oh no. When did you read it? I read this book probably in 2007, 2008. It's been a long time. Yeah, like this is not a new book. This is not a... yeah, no, it wasn't Silent Spring. It wasn't Silent Spring. I know Silent Spring, because that's the one about DDT. That's the one about DDT, the pesticide that was like making bird eggs thin, and therefore the birds weren't surviving, so there weren't birds. And I'll try to do my own research. It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. Oh man, I'm just so mad at myself that I'm just like really locked in on this now, and I want to know, and it's going to upset me that I can't remember, which is funny because I can never remember anything. I just keep coming up with like a post-apocalyptic survival series, and it's like, that's not it. Is it literally this? Is this? It can't be. Yeah, no, because that was from 2017. So that's like a full decade after I read the book. Anyway, I will chill. I will investigate. I will chill and investigate. All right. What is your favorite type of noodle? This is a question from Nep. What is your favorite type of noodle? Oh yeah, Dormithrax, that's it. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the Silent Spring one. Okay. What is your favorite type of noodle? Not a dish, just the noodle. I thought long and hard about this, and I'm guessing that tortellini, I can't say tortellini, I'm guessing tortellini, because tortellini is like a noodle, but it's also got like cheese wrapped in the noodle, which feels like it's more than just a noodle, right? So I feel like that doesn't count. I want to say I am, ever since I was just a very, very tiny moth, since I was but a wee moth, I have had this strange, inexplicable attachment to penne. That's that's what I got. Penne. I like penne. But if tortellini counts, tortellini. Yes. Have you seen penne? Please examine. Please, well, let me. I haven't had penne in years, actually, now that I think about it. And that kind of upsets me. Here we go. Here's some penne. Look. Look at this beautiful penne. This is penne. And it is my one true love in the noodle world. Except tortellini. That's penne. I don't know. I don't know why. You know, sometimes there's just things you can't explain. Penne is a classic. Penne rigate? I don't even know what that is. Penne. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes. That I love that. I love that. I had that one for dinner yesterday. Nice. I'm glad to hear that all of you have good taste. Penne with the texture rather than exact. Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. It has to be with the texture specifically. So that one, yes. No, you are correct. I agree. It has to have the texture on it. If it's just the smooth one, I don't like that one as much because it's a bit harder to get. It's more likely like when you try and stab it with your fork, it's more likely to go like spinning across the world. Can you share mine? Yours? Yeah, of course. Tell me, what's your favorite pasta nap? What's your favorite type of noodle? Gemelli. What is that? Oh, these little guys! These little guys! The wiggly dudes! The wiggly dudes! There we go, he's a wiggly guy! The little wiggly guys! Oh man, look at that one! You're so happy! Oh, you know, I never thought about the texture absorbing sauce. I was a really picky eater when I was a kid, so I just like didn't want. I would always have the sauce off to the side. I never, and I still don't like the sauce directly on my pasta. I want the sauce on the side so I can just dip just enough. And ravioli and udon are, oh, I love ravioli. I had some ravioli the other day and it was quite yummy. It was quite yummy. One east, one west. Yeah, udon. I think I prefer ramen noodles to udon noodles. I am a really big fan of like like fresh ramen noodles. Not like the instant ramen noodles. Fresh ramen noodles are very yummy. But the first thing that came to mind was penne. Bucatini. Oh, look at these. They're like straws. They're like straws. I wonder if you could like drink through that. Italy being in the Eastern Hemisphere feels weird. Yeah. The whole concepts of East and West are kind of silly to me because they're all relative. I like ramen of all types, but I like the thicker ones. So do you like udon then, Data Foxy? Because udon is pretty thick. Is there a difference between ramen noodles and udon noodles besides just how thick they are? Surely there is. Ramen versus udon noodle. Because like my sort of impression is that just udon's thicker than ramen. Pretty sure they're made of different things. I see. Oh yeah, and I'm seeing things that say they have a different texture. I think the flour used is different. So udon is wheat flour. No wait. What? I don't know. Udon is a little too thick at times because the flavor does not soak in well. Yeah, I don't like udon as much. Like, I love noodles, but udon noodles, I don't like them as much as ramen noodles. I'll travel further east than anyone has ever traveled before. I will travel east further than anyone has ever traveled before, really quick. There, I moved slightly to the right, but that's also the equivalent of if I had traveled all the way around the world to come back to where I was. How cool am I? I don't know if that made any sense to any. It makes sense in my head. Yeah, we just kind of decided that east of us was east and west of us was west, and because we had the most boats and stuff. But it's like, you know, America is so weird. America is so weird because like it's all relative, right? And like it's all relative to like when these terms were coined. Like if you we have this region in America that we call the Midwest, right? The Midwest. But then if you look at continental America, the Midwest is more like the Mideast, frankly. Like the Midwest is not in the western half of the continental states. The Midwest is in the eastern half of the continental states. But that's because, like, when these terms were being coined, like, most of the people who lived in the continental United States were living on the East Coast. And so, yeah, that was west of them, and therefore it's the Midwest. But now, no longer is. Anyway. Anyway. Like, East and West and North and South is more useful, I would say, than the terms left and right. But at the end of the day, it's still relative. It's still relative to where you are. Somebody's north could be somebody else's south. Like, yeah, and the Middle East is in the middle of the UK and India, not the middle of the Eastern Hemisphere, right? The Midwest ain't even west. Exactly, King Gwen. Exactly, King Gwen. It's all relative. All of these are just like, there's nothing that makes the Midwest inherently east or inherently west. It's all due to like where the relative. And the Waters Turn to Blood by Rodney. That might be it. Let me see if I can find the cover of that. Oh my god. Oh my god, I think that's it. Torg, you're a genius. Torg, you're a genius. That's it. And The Waters Turn to Blood by Rodney Barker. That's the book I read. That's the book I read. That's the book I read. Oh, thank you. Oh, genre fiction. It was fiction? I thought it was like historical. Oh, I guess not. Fascinating. Well, but that was the book. I guess I misremembered it. Oh, that's cool. Anyway, sorry. Directions are all vibes based. I don't know if they're vibes based, but they're certainly something. If you travel east enough, you end up in the west, right? The eastern seaboard always takes a moment as that is the coast to my west. It's so screwed up, isn't it? Because it's all relative, and it's like, relative to what? And depending on who you ask, that will change. Wikipedia says it's a true story for what it's worth. Maybe that's what I'm thinking about. Maybe, like, it was a true story, but they fictionalized the aspects of it or something. Or, like, they added in fictional characters as the point of view character or something like that. So, like, maybe it is, like, a true story, but they added fake events and fake characters to give it, like, sort of a center story. Dramatic recreation, yeah. That kind of gives me that vibe. Oh, wait. If you go on Goodreads, it says the genre is nonfiction. Oh, it says with an update on the cell from hell. What the heck? Fascinating. I should reread that book. We have Center-West region too, but since the country is shaped like a triangle, the north is actually more western than the center-west. It's really funny. I made the real fiction as the genre classification. What does Barnes and Noble classify it as? So I've seen one that classifies it as fiction, another that classifies it as non-fiction. Does Barnes and Noble tell me what it's classified as there? I don't think it does. Tells the full and terrifying story of... Anyway, Ireland is north of Northern Astral, please. The unrelated book recommend, The Traveling Cat Chronicles. Oh, I haven't heard of that one. I haven't heard of that one. To check it out sometime. Have to investigate. Investigate. Okay, anyway. Next question. Are there any pop psychology books that you would recommend? So I thought about this. I didn't actually think about this long and hard. There was one book that I used to like really recommend and like and push. It's not, I don't know if it's pop psychology, but it's like, it's a description of a case study called When Prophecy Fails. And I used to really enjoy that book, and I recommended it to a lot of people. And then recently it kind of came out that this book, that the description of events in this book were perhaps not as accurate as we would hope from a case study. And perhaps, and like, it was always clear that the ethics of this case study were kind of sketchy. But like, it seems like there was a lot more like interference of the researchers that influenced the result, and like, and so I'm not going to recommend that one back anymore. Oh, hey, Calcium Compadre, thank you, thank you. But yeah, I think my favorite, I don't actually read that much pop psychology. Like, I barely read any pop psychology, but I think the favorite pop psychology book that I've ever read was Hallucinations by Oliver Sacks. Yes, my mother got it for me for Christmas one year. And I am a huge fan of this book. Hallucination by Oliver Sacks is like an incredible writer in the first place. Let me move myself. Go over here. Oliver Sacks is like an incredible writer, and I think there's also some questions about like how accurate some of the stuff he's written in some of the books is. And a lot of his, like, it's collections usually of like case studies and things like that. Well, no, that he's most famous for his book, The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, which is a collection of case studies. I believe Oliver Sacks was like a neurologist. Yeah, he's a neurologist. He was a neurologist. I believe he died a couple of years back. Yeah, same author as The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. Yeah, and The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat is, I think, his most famous work, and it is really interesting. It has some really, really fascinating case studies in it. But in terms of overall reading experience, like, I think it had a, like, the cases described in it were definitely more fascinating to me than the stuff described in Hallucinations. But I think as a reader, the overall reading experience, I enjoyed reading Hallucinations more than I enjoyed reading The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, which is kind of weird, because, like, one of them I think had more interesting content, but I think the presentation in Hallucinations, I liked that better. And turns out he had prosopagnosia. Yeah, The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, right? Yeah, he described so many interesting cases. I think one of my favorite ones in there was him describing, like, it's sad, of course. Like, the people who have these things definitely have a lot of difficulties in their day-to-day lives because of them. But, like, I learned about alien limb syndrome, I think, through that book. And alien limb syndrome is just fascinating. I'm not an expert in that area. I'm not a neurologist or anything like that. But alien limb syndrome is, I think it's usually the result of a stroke, if I remember right, or some sort of, like, thing like that. And essentially you stop recognizing one of your limbs as your own, which has some really weird, like, your brain no longer recognizes that an arm is your arm. So people sometimes will think that, oh, it's like that arm on the bed, that's not my arm. And like, I think Oliver Sacks describes a case of somebody who had alien limb syndrome with one of their legs, and they saw the leg in the bed, in like the hospital bed that they were lying in, and they're like, what the hell, who is lying in my bed? And they tried to throw the leg out of bed and ended up throwing themselves out of bed, because of course the leg was attached to them, but their brain wasn't recognizing it as their own leg. And like, he described another case, I think, of like just talking with somebody who had this alien limb syndrome and was saying, hey, look at that arm. That arm is yours. And they're like, no, it's not my arm. They're like, well, then if it's not your arm, it's in the same bed as you, and you're the only person in that bed. Whose arm is it? And I think the person said, like, hey, it's my cousin's arm, and their cousin wasn't even in the same state at the time. It's like really interesting how the brain would get so fixated on these ideas and just work itself like in circles trying to justify these beliefs and stuff. But that's The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, which is a it describes a lot of really interesting things. But I think I enjoyed reading Hallucinations more. Hallucinations really interesting, especially because Sacks, Dr. Sacks, I believe, when he was younger, if I remember right, he ended up abusing hallucinogens, like using a lot of hallucinogens and things like that, or something along those lines. And he described his own experiences with these things, and I don't know, it was just a very, very interesting book. I should reread it. It's been a long time since I read it. But yeah, I think this pop psychology book that I would recommend is Hallucinations by Oliver Sacks. I think that's what I'll recommend. Sounds like a Monty Python sketch a little bit, but it sounds like a Monty Python sketch, but then you remember that this is a real person who has to deal with this in their like real day-to-day life, and then it gets a little like, oh, oh dear, it's no longer funny at that point, but it is still very, very, very interesting. I would say the brain does wild, wild stuff. And it's like one thing to read about these things in like a journal article or a textbook or a diagnostic manual. It's another thing entirely to hear the stories of how this presents. Like, yeah. So yeah, I'd recommend any of Oliver Sacks' books, but I think Hallucinations is the one that I personally enjoyed reading the most. Second to that would be, of course, The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, which is the classic, Oliver Sacks book. Yeah. All right, let's see. Next one. Oh god. Oh god, I feel like I'm gonna get this question wrong, which is a silly thing to say. I feel like I'm gonna get this question wrong. But I'm in social psychology. I think that this is probably different in other areas of psychology. Anyway, this is a question from Astral. Thank you, Astral. So, in physics, we have a bunch of base postulates that all our theories rest on, like causality. Does psychology have the same concept, and if so, what are the most significant or important ones? I'm gonna say I don't know. I think in the big sort of, I've never really thought of it this way, but thinking a bit more, I think the sort of slogan of social psychology, which is that context matters, I think would kind of be the base postulate. The context that events are occurring in, the context that a person is in, that sort of thing matters. And I think that's kind of like a base assumption that most, maybe all of social psychology rests on, and then most, maybe all of psychology theories rest on that. Or social psychology theories, perception matters as well, like how you perceive and interpret things would be another thing. But like, I can't really think of context matters, perception matters. It's hard. Like, I've heard people describe psychology as like a very young science that's kind of getting ahead of itself, in that we're all asking these hyper-specific questions when we do our psychology research, but we never really went and established like base rules like a lot of other fields. Like, we don't have basic universal so-called rules. We assume that they exist, but I think we're not quite as like savvy to them, what they might be and things like that, as other fields that have a longer history might have been. I think there has been a lot of critique that psychology just jumped straight to doing the hyper-specific research without establishing base principles as much as perhaps they should have. So just like causality, then everything else rests on each other to support themselves. Kinda, maybe? I don't know. It's hard to say, but this is something that I think psychology has absolutely been critiqued for not really having these that much. Hey, chemistry just got its base rules by a bunch of people asking, how can I synthesize gold? Oh man, I have a friend, Maury and I actually, we have a friend who has been doing so much research into like alchemy lately, just like, not like in an academic context, but in like I think he's been reading a lot of academic texts, but just like hearing him talk about alchemists is so funny and so wild, and it's just so, I'm sorry, apparently the more you read about alchemists, like he just reads up on alchemy and all the beliefs of these alchemists, and then he starts getting really mad, and it's very, very funny. The acid rules are important too in chemistry. Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't really know that much about that kind of thing, unfortunately. But yeah, I think, well, I guess the base, if I had to name the base postulate that applies to all areas of science, it would be that there are rules. Science, any area of science or research makes no sense in a world that does not have set rules, and we have no guarantee that there are set universal rules, but we're kind of assuming that there are. Because, like, if there aren't base rules to something, then what are we doing here? And I think we do have evidence that there is some level of consistency in the universe, but like, yeah, then biology has, so how about these peas? Oh man. I mean, psychology also has had some weird, or everybody's got a weird origin story, I think. Do the points matter? Oops. Good question. I don't know. But yeah, oh my god. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have a good answer here. Unfortunately, like social psychology would be context matters and perception matters. Um, Science as a whole would just be there are universal rules or there are consistent rules that, but like I think psychology has been critiqued for kind of skipping that step. I think that was a good saying. Okay, good. Because I feel like it was kind of unsatisfying. And I'm sure that there are things that I'm not thinking of or forgetting or that might exist in other areas that I'm not aware of, like other parts of psychology that I'm not aware of. But that's the best I can give at the moment. Let's see. Do you have a least favorite conspiracy? Oh, thank you, Nep. I don't know. No, I think. Oh, hey, Oni, how you doing? I mean, even in other areas, bases are broken sometimes. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, base assumptions are broken all the time. Truthers? Is it Big Soy? I kind of like that. I think Big Soy is kind of funny. Truthers moon landing one irks me. That's fair. That's fair. I don't mind the moon landing one too much. I think the least favorite like off the top of my head, just thinking, I don't really have a least favorite specific conspiracy, but like my least favorite conspiracies overall, I think, are the ones that like my first instinct to say is it's the ones where it's this horrible, terrible conspiracy theory that paints this horrible, terrible picture of reality, and then it turns out it was right. Like, so, like, you asked favorite if you said favorite conspiracy theory, that wouldn't work, because, you know, like, but, things like MK Ultra, things like the Tuskegee syphilis experiments, these horrible, horrible things that were at one point conspiracy theories, and I think it was nicer to think of them as conspiracy theories. When they were conspiracy theories, it's like, oh, this is, oh, it's a interesting, yes, it's an interesting thing to think about, or like, oh, that's a silly thing to think. The people would never do that, and then you find out that it's real, and then it's just like, dear God, you know, like, I think. Hey, Addie, how you doing? How you doing? But yeah, I guess if I had to say my least favorite conspiracy or like conspiracy theory-ish thing, it would be that kind of thing. I finally got to watch you live. Welcome, welcome. I have been out. I have been gone for a while, so and I don't. Yeah, welcome, welcome. Happy to have you here. But yes. Yeah. My contribution to conspiracy theories is that the game Hunt a Killer being advertised on true crime podcasts and YouTube was an FBI op to get more people into solving crime. I don't know. Would they even want that? Because, like, I know Reddit sometimes gets super into, like, helping solving crimes. And every once in a long while they're helpful, but there are other times when it's just catastrophically bad. Like, that their attempts make things catastrophically worse. So, like, I don't know. Would they want to encourage that? I wonder. I never said it's a good idea. Oh no. Yeah, exactly, Robert. That's exactly what I was thinking of. The whole Boston Marathon thing. That was a very clear example of when getting the internet excited about solving a mystery turns out for the worse. Oh man. Let's see, okay. Reddit wants to encourage anything that increases engagement. Yeah. I think that's the last one I had on the slideshow, but I have gotten a few more in since then. So the first one, this is from Anonymous. This person, I started to respect someone actually believing in conspiracy, but I really hate fake conspiracies being pushed to cover for a con to sell stuff. That is also upsetting. Yeah, like when people make up, like, I made up a problem so that I can sell you the solution kind of deal. Like Alex Jones and his like, they are doing this and this and this, but if you take my supplements, it will fix the problem or what. I really don't. I hate. This isn't any specific conspiracy theory because any specific conspiracy theory probably could or could not be used by that, but I really do not like people cynically using conspiracy theories for their own ends, whether that is to sell a product, whether that is to manipulate people into doing something they want them to do, whatever it is. I really do not like that. Like, to bolster a campaign, to whatever it is, I really dislike that sort of thing. Deworming protocol for diabetes. Oh my god. The Bowling Green massacre. Oh my gosh. Those kind of grifters who don't even believe those theories, but they prey on the type of people that do. Yeah, I really don't like that. Really don't like that. I have some complicated feelings about promoting conspiracy theories overall. I think generally on average it's a bad thing, but also we do have to acknowledge that on occasion, rarely, this is not the norm. I want to emphasize that this is not like what usually happens. Most conspiracy theories, I would say, are false, but there is a small minority that are true. And I do think those conspiracy theories should be discussed and shared, but of course, well, it's a conspiracy theory, you don't know whether it's false or true. My personal conspiracy theory is that time travel's real, but can only be used on items that weigh less than 100 grams, and that is why socks disappear with my cards. But where are the socks going? That's the question. Where are the socks going? Why is somebody, like, in the distant past or the distant future stealing socks? What are they using them for? To what end? Surely time travel must be very expensive to do. Have you considered interdimensional rifts? Or spectrological? Do we want to know? Maybe we don't want to. Have they become sock fossils? Well, if they're sock fossils from the past, would we have discovered? Why haven't we discovered any? If they're from the future, then I have no good counter argument, because who knows what's going to happen in the future. Oh, no. 2 actual scientists and communicators were sued for debunking that treatment, but then it was oh gosh. Socks decay into tachyons and get sent to the time. Buy my sock anti-time travel dryer bag, only $69.42 plus shipping. And Kinguin, don't be that guy. On the beginning of time, the sudden influx of sock mass created a hyperdense black hole that goes. It's a stable time loop of missing socks. We cannot disrupt it lest we end the universe. Every missing sock is an integral building block to our current existence. Maybe people in the future desperately need socks, but then why'd they only take one of each pair? Why not both? Who made socks in the first place? Probably so many times. Socks go so far back that their fossils are cycled back into them. What is happening? Oh no. The weight limit prevents taking well, why can't you take them one after another? They loop back before reappearing when you... I did not get enough sleep last night. The socks are going out for a walk. Oh, good for them. They should get their steps in. They should get their exercise. It's good to get exercise. Anyway. The next question is one that I don't have a good answer to. I know what it's asking, but it is so far out of my area. I don't know. The future people don't have enough experience with socks to know that leaving one isn't... Oh no. Oh no. The tangents are fun, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't know if I have it in me to stream for too long, especially because it's really hot, and my streaming setup is outside of the range of the air conditioning. So I don't want to go on too long tangents. I do want to get through as many questions as I can, and also not have too long of a stream, just so I don't melt. But the next question is, what is the current view of the facial action coding system? Oh, good luck, Astral. You don't need my Uma Musume luck, though. My Uma Musume luck lately has been absolutely horrendous. So, whatever. You know what? Whatever. This is fine. The current view of the facial action coding system. How many of you have heard of the facial action coding system? You've probably, I mostly heard of it as called the FACS system, or yeah. I mostly hear it referred to as FACS. I haven't, I have no idea what it is. I'm glad that I shared my socks. Yeah. So the FACS system, I did that wrong. Okay. I don't want full screen. There we go. Mylan, are you outside or does the indoors have limited AC? Indoors has limited AC coverage. I know how to fax. That's fair. The facial action coding system. So first, I guess I need to talk about what coding is in this context. Coding in this context is not like computer coding. You're not like tapping away at your keyboard writing code. In this case, coding refers to a method in qualitative data analysis, where you are trying to look at various things, whether they're like images or photographs, or maybe you're listening to audio, or maybe you're like reading a social media post or whatever it is. And coding is you're assigning labels to that thing. I'm not butter. I'm just very weak when it comes to hot weather. It's not even that hot out. I'm doomed at the rest of summer. It feels like it's very hot out. And I went walking yesterday and it felt very hot and like I was going to collapse. And I'm like, this is not even... Yeah. I'm made of gallium, maybe. But anyway, okay, coding. Coding refers to a qualitative data analytic technique where you are assigning labels to things. You're trying to label it, and you're trying to label it in labels that make sense in the context of the thing that you're studying. So in the context of facts, facial action coding system, FACS is intended to be a systematic way of labeling facial expressions, if I'm remembering correctly. So one of the most important things about coding is that you need to have a very, very clear set of rules for like what counts as, say, a smile, what counts as a frown, what counts as like a sad face, what counts as a disgusted face, like all these things. You need a very, 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 very clear, specific set of rules so that if a completely different person, like let's say I'm looking at a photograph of somebody who's making a face, and I write down, I think that this person's making a disgusted face. The set of rules that I'm using to make that decision, to put that label on this image, has to be so specific that anybody else who's using the same set of rules can come in and look at that picture and come to exactly the same conclusion. That's the goal of coding. So FACS is specifically a system, it's a set of rules for labeling facial expressions. And yeah, basically the idea is it allows people to take pictures, take videos, and have a very consistent way of identifying what their face is doing. The last time I made a face, the villagers called me a monster and chased me out with pitchforks and torsos. I'm so sorry, King Win. I hope that you're doing better and have found a nicer, more welcoming village. Heard a small but interesting study about this kind of thing between neurotypical and autistic people the other day. Interesting. I do wonder about that. That does make sense that would be something that people have looked at. I'll look at this photograph every time I do. It makes me laugh. It's facts. Not necessarily. But you probably could use facts on the photograph. Actually, there was a show. There was a TV show. It was one of those, hey Gomi, how you doing? There was a TV show based on like the fax system and the guy who came up with the fax system. I forget the name of it. Was it Lie to Me? What was this TV show? I think it was Lie to Me. I think Lie to Me Yeah. Yeah. Lie to me. So one of the people who really like sort of did a lot of work with the fact systems was a researcher named Paul Ekman. Paul Ekman at UC San Francisco. And a lot of his research into the fact system was used or inspired a TV show called Lie to Me, which was about a person who was really good at reading facial expressions and was like called like a living lie detector, and it was like one of those crime drama shows. But yeah, that's the fact system. It's a set of rules for labeling facial expressions. And the question is, what is the current view of the fact system? I do not know. And that's my problem. I do not know what the current attitude towards the fact system is because I'm not really in an area that uses it. Why not just use machine learning algorithms? This was created before machine learning algorithms were a thing. In fact, probably like 5 years ago, I saw a conference presentation talking about how that they had trained a machine learning algorithm to do facts coding. So like I think they are moving towards like using machine learning classifier models to do this rather than using trained human beings to do this. But this was, when was facts created? It was later initially developed there, and then it was later adopted by Ekman and Friesen and published in 1978. So this was long before machine learning algorithms was really a thing, but there was still a need to like, there was still a need for certain areas of research and things like that to do that. Apparently animators, so people, you know, who do animation also look at the fact system to learn more about how the face moves and things like that. That's really cool. But yeah, this was before machine learning algorithms, but now people are absolutely, they have trained classifier models to be able to do similar tasks and things like that. I'm not sure how the accuracy compares to people using the fact system, but if I had to guess, I'd guess it's probably about the same. I guess they're probably about the same, and in that case, using a machine learning classifier is probably similar. Oh wow, that is wild. I was a model for people to be evaluated for that. Really? What? Wait, Data Foxy, are you being serious? Because that's so cool. That is so cool. We had a YouTuber who made his life deciphering micro expressions who then caught flack for defamation and making police investigations harder. Oh yeah, the whole micro expression thing, especially the people who do micro expressions on YouTube, that's questionable at best. Oh yeah, the Paul Ekman stuff was specifically about micro expressions, and Lie to Me was specifically about micro expressions, and I think there's a lot of like controversy and stuff about that, about using micro expressions for those purposes, but I'm not an expert on it. I do think though that there has been some controversy on the concept of micro expressions and the use of micro expressions, and there's been, I think there might be some replicability concerns about that as well. I don't really remember too much about that. But I do think that micro expressions is probably not a very valid way of catching lies. And it's probably not a great way to do it. I knew one person who used to say F instead of S, needless. Wow, I guess we can't all. I was paid $10 to have photos taken of me doing expressions because I had a specific gender and ethnicity they needed. I'm serious. That's so cool, Data Foxy. That's awesome. And I'm very glad that they gave you money for that. That's good. I suppose it might be prejudice against neurodivergent people too. I don't know. Maybe. It sounds like this strikes me as sounding like phrenology. It's not really phrenology. Like I get where that would come from. Phrenology was trying to determine personality based on face, like the shape of the head, if I remember correctly. Facts coding, micro expressions and stuff were trying to estimate emotional state. And the idea behind micro expressions, I think, was that they were like a subconscious display of emotion that you had no control over, that revealed your inner thoughts that you would then hide and override. I do not believe that that's really I don't know how supported that is. And I think that there has been some problems with that. Phrenology is different in the sense of brain structure based on the size and shape of different parts. Oh, yes, that. Yeah. Man, my memory is not great for this stuff. But yeah, this was more about, like, you weren't inferring... Facts coding and also microexpressions, these are not things that are trying to infer things like intelligence or personality or things like that. I get similar vibes about trying to read too much into it. Yeah, you have to be careful about how much you can read into it. That's true, Kingland. You must, like, with a lot of psychology measures, we need to be very, very careful about what we can and cannot conclude from them. So I think facts coding makes the most sense when it comes to specifically how people might perceive somebody as opposed to trying to work out what's going on in that person's head from facts coding. I don't think they did neurodivergent in general. I think everybody studied identified as autistic. I think we're an issue in the study I saw. Oh god, what have I done? I've clicked on things I shouldn't. Microexpressions tend to be different between neurotypical and autistic people. Interesting. I wonder if there's research in... I wonder if I look for the research if my photos are out there. It's entirely possible, Data Foxy, though you would have... if it was a matter of sharing the photos, they would have had to get your explicit consent to share the photos with other people. So if you remember giving explicit consent, they might be out there. If you don't remember it, if they didn't obtain explicit consent to share your photos and they were doing good ethical research, your photos would not be out there. Things are also kind of culture bound. Yes, Maury, yeah, you are so right. So I do believe that there's some debate about whether there are such things as universal ways of expressing emotion. Like, does a smile always mean the same thing in every culture and things like that? And I think there's a lot of debate over it. I think some people have argued that there are like a small handful of universal expressions, like expressions of disgust and things like that, but more nuanced emotions, and then some other emotions like happiness and stuff like that. There are absolutely cultural differences in how these things are expressed. I believe facts coding specifically is American cultural context, and I believe most of the research that, like, it was created by somebody from Sweden, I think, but most of the development was done in specifically San Francisco, California, USA. So, smiling eye. Yeah, so this facts coding, I don't believe facts coding is considered a good way, at least like the traditional original version of facts coding is considered a good way to deal with coding facial expressions outside of the US. Would be my guess. There is definitely a culture component to how people express emotions, and we are aware that this is a thing. As a psych grad, all I learned is never judge without proper assessments and confirmations, and don't label anyone. That's probably a good thing to think, Addie. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I'm sure I have consent, but it was decades ago, of course. Oh yeah, Data Foxy. If it was decades ago, yeah, like, most people don't even read the consent forms. And, like, even if you do read the consent forms, I'm not going to remember what a consent form that I signed, like, years ago said for sure. You gotta remember to scrunch your eyes so people think your smiles. You know, I still wear a mask a lot, and I find that, like, I smile at people a lot because I'm an American, and that's what you do to tell people that you are non-threatening. And I think I smize a hell of a lot, specifically because I've spent, like, you know, the past 6 years wearing a mask where people cannot see my mouth, and therefore I need to smize to express that I am smiling. Resting peace. Oh. But yeah, I think I overdo it on, like, the scrunching my eyes when I smile, specifically because I'm overcompensating for the fact that my people can't see my mouth most of the time. But what if I want to come across as threatening? You gotta do... I actually saw a talk on this. It was the same talk, I think, where I learned about the people using classifier models to do facts coding and just facial expression coding. It was a talk that was specifically looking at the Kubrick stare. Have y'all heard of the Kubrick stare? Are you familiar with this? I'll pull up the Wikipedia page, which I hope it's okay if I put up the Wikipedia page. The Kubrick stare is specifically this thing that Stanley Kubrick was famous for using in movies, where you have a character that is looking up. Their head is tilted down, but they're looking up at you. And it makes them look threatening. Like, there's another example of the Kubrick stare here. And it was the most interesting, fascinating research talk. It was a really fun research talk. He didn't call it the Kubrick stare, I think, but he was talking about how the angle that faces are photographed at can influence how people interpret the emotion that that person is expressing, and he specifically talked about how the Kubrick stare looks intimidating and his guess as to why. And I think, surprised there's a name for that, right? Specifically, I think he had data to support this too. The Kubrick stare was seen as intimidating because when your head is tilted, I can't, unfortunately, this model isn't really rigged to mimic this that well, but when you look down at an angle and you're looking up through your eyes, because of the way perspective takes, or because of the way perspective works and like foreshortening and things like that, and the way, you know, like our eyes perceive distance, when you tilt your head down, it looks like your eyebrows are pointing down in a frown. And therefore, the Kubrick stare looks menacing, even if like you're smiling or something like that, but looking up at people with your head tilted down. It looks menacing because regardless of the expression that you are making, it looks like your eyebrows are tilted down in a frown. I think I screwed up the frown versus concerned face on my rigging, because when I try and frown, it just makes me look sad. Oh, I can't frown in this model, apparently. But yeah, that's the idea. It's really interesting. But yeah, as far as fax coding is concerned, I think I'm pretty sure, and again, I'm not an expert, I haven't really read up on any recent developments with fax coding. I haven't thought about fax coding in like probably a decade. But I would guess like there's probably agreement that at least classical fax coding is a very culture-bound thing and shouldn't be used outside of the culture where it was. There's some debate over whether there are universal expressions of emotions that exist across all cultures. I can be sad. I just can't be angry. I think the closest to angry I get is this. Anyway, yeah. So probably not culturally universal. But I think fax coding, I think it's still fine. I think it's still like a valid way of measuring facial expressions. I think there's probably more reliable ways to do it. For example, with machine learning models these days, though those were probably based on fax coding, and the labels and the weights for those machine learning classifiers were probably based on data sets created through fax coding, if I had to guess. But the concept of microexpressions, which is a little bit tied to fax coding, I think the concept of microexpressions as a useful diagnostic tool for things like lying and subconscious thought, I don't think that is quite as well received these days. But again, I'm not like an expert on this. I haven't exactly been keeping tabs on general attitudes towards fax coding. That's, unfortunately, this is the best answer I can give for this question. But I hope that was helpful. I hope that was informative. I tried. There was an attempt. The next question I have is another question that I don't have a good answer to. Unfortunate. No, wait, no, this is a question from Maury. I skipped my brain skipped ahead. All right, let's see. I thought it was informative because it took me back. Oh, I'm glad it was useful. Oh gosh, it's a lot of text. I'm sorry, Maury. Okay. Whoa! Okay. All right. So the next question, I haven't actually read it. What kind of careers do people usually go into when they major in or get higher level degrees in social psychology outside of academia? I know research is an option. Does that count as academia? I would count it as academia, yeah. But I feel like there are more psychologists of all types behind different fields than I've ever considered. Ha ha ha. Just in time to me before I have to go to dinner. Oh no, I better answer this one fast without getting too sidetracked. Okay. So, if you're specifically doing social psychology, that means you're probably in, at minimum, a master's program, at maximum, a PhD program. So master's or PhD in social psychology specifically, research, generally speaking, I would count as academia. I do not know any social psychologists that VTube to make money. I guess Psy is the closest thing to that I know of. Psydere. I know Psydere makes, and I guess I make some money off of this as well, but not a whole lot of it. You can tell me later. Yeah, I'll tell you later, Maury. I will talk your ear off later, or type your ear off later. Marketing, yes. So I have a lot of friends who got like PhDs or masters in social psychology, and they did not stay in academia. And when I say academia, I'm mostly talking about like research for the sake of doing research, largely in like university settings. But I'm also not going to dinner yet. Okay, I'll do my best. So the closest thing to academia would be like nonprofits. So I have some friends who have gone to work for nonprofits, usually things that do polling. So like I've had friends who've gotten internships or gone to work, or like I know somebody who knows somebody that works at Pew or works at YouGov or works at NORC or works at any of these various polling agencies. So there are nonprofits, and there's also nonprofits like I think there's like organizations that try and do research to reduce political polarization and things like that. And social psychologists can go and do research at nonprofit like that. Either they're doing polling or they're doing research on like how to improve X societal problem or Y societal problem, or how to improve like safety instruction and things like that at nonprofit organizations. If I remember correctly, Psy makes enough to cover 75% of her VTubing expenses. Ah, I see. Yeah. I'm tempted to ask her later, but also I don't really want to bug her about money. That feels weird. That feels like a weird thing to ask. And then, so that's like the most academia-ish thing outside of academia. Works in a government department where he does data analysis. Nice, Data Fox. Yeah, I also know a fair number of people, or like, I guess I don't really know people who work for the government in social psychology, but I do know that that is an option. Like, you can go get a higher degree in social psychology, and you can go and work for the government doing data analysis, doing types of research. I know that for a long time, I didn't see it this year, but the biggest social psychology convention or conference in America, in North America, I think it's the Americas total, but I'm not sure. It might even be the world, not totally sure, is the Society for Personality and Social Psychology, their annual conference. And for a while there was a multi-year streak where like, it was either the FBI or the CIA had a recruiting booth there. So there are absolutely government agencies. Many of my friends who work in the UN, WHO, or other foundation and are working with the government, I myself work part-time in an NGO. That's so cool, Addie. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I do know, like, you can absolutely go work for the government. You can go work for what we call the alphabet agencies, like the FBI or the CIA. You can go and work for, like, the WHO, which is, I guess, you know, not, like, country government, but, like, you can go work for these organizations. You can work for the UN. You can work for various government organizations, that kind of thing. I never thought about the nonprofit angle. Yeah. I have a fair number of friends who've gone into nonprofits, and I also did consider going into and applying for nonprofits, for sure. I think I did apply to a few nonprofits and polling agencies. I think that would be like a really fun thing to do. It would be like after teaching is like absolutely my passion, but I think after that, I would love to work for a polling agency. I'm not going to work. My friend works at a state agency on healthcare. Yeah. I have heard of people working at state agencies in healthcare as well. I was referring to psych and social psych students. Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right though, Addie. I think, yeah. That's how I interpreted it. Actually, like I do think a lot of I do happen to know that social psychologists work for those things. And yeah, there are a lot of jobs in terms of data analytic and things like healthcare and insurance, both private and government and public and things like that as well. Private companies, a lot of places will hire social psychologists. Sometimes it will be for marketing. There are social psychologists who go and work in business as like consultants and things like that. Or they might work directly for the business. I have quite a few friends who ended up working in UI research, so user interface research. This is things like A/B testing, making sure like I have some friends who went and did this for like corporations where they're working for big companies that want them to help optimize their websites, either to like trick people into spending more time on their website or spending more money on their website, or making their website friendlier and easier to navigate or things like that. Some of them are doing these for-profit companies and that just like sell things, like physical things, like that have both online and brick and mortar stores. I have other friends who work for major search engines and things like that for this sort of thing. And I have friends who I think they got laid off, unfortunately, but they worked at like companies and I applied for some of these jobs as well. There's a whole area, a whole group of like social psychologists and cognitive psychologists who work as video game researchers. They help game designers and programmers and things like that create, like, make sure that their user interface is good, make sure get people to keep playing the games and stuff like that, make sure that the difficulty is calibrated at an appropriate level where the game is just challenging enough that you don't get bored with it, but not so challenging that you rage quit and things like that. Yes, people need those who have a background in research to help with data and understanding people. Abso-freaking-lutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. Like, you can work in all sorts of places with a degree in social psychology, though usually if you're going outside of academia and outside of research-related positions or things where you're just doing like UI research or things like that, or data analytics, or like you're helping people like do usually you can stop at the master's level and that's enough. But yeah, the Hans decides, I'm so sorry, Astral. I'm so sorry. That's some unfortunate luck. This is what you get for asking for my Uma Musume luck. My Uma Musume luck has been horrendous. Oh, Tyler, how you doing? Thank you so much. But yeah, that is the type of careers that I'm familiar with that people with these advanced degrees in psychology typically go into. Usually like data analysis, UI research, consumer research. They help designers by doing things like A/B testing and things like that, data analytics. I think I already said that. And working for government groups, working for nonprofits. The field is yeah, you can do a lot of things. You can do a lot of things both in and outside of academia. I definitely applied to some teaching jobs because I knew I wanted to teach. But I also ended up applying to a lot of like user research jobs and UX researcher, user experience researcher jobs. I applied to a lot of those too, and jobs at like polling agencies and stuff for data analysis. Data analysis sounds fun, but it's probably harder than it sounds. I've actually heard I've heard from a lot of my friends who have data analysis jobs. Some of them have to do very complicated things, but the vast majority of them, it sounds like most of the data analysis they're asked to do requires pretty simple statistics. Like if you have a basic understanding of statistics and how to use statistical programs and programming languages like R and SPSS or like MATLAB or whatever, it sounds like that's fine and that gets them by. Like honestly, data analysis and like UX research and stuff like that and polling agencies, all of those, I love teaching and I want to stay teaching for like the foreseeable future, but I think I would also very much enjoy a career in those areas as well. You know, like, yeah. The hardest part of data analysis is explaining it to other people and telling them the data might not support their ideas. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's like, I think what I've heard is that the hardest part of data analysis is not doing the actual analysis, it's communicating the results of the analysis. And also getting the person who's requesting the analysis to tell you exactly what they want in a way that you can actually turn into a useful analysis. That seems to be like the harder part. The actual analysis doesn't sound that bad. It's the communicating your findings, which is one of the reasons it's so important that like you learn how to communicate well, you learn how to write. And this goes back to the discussion about gen eds that we had earlier. It's so important that you have gen eds that teach you how to write, that teach you how to communicate with others. It's like presentations in school suck, but it's a very important skill to be able to communicate your ideas both through speech and through writing and stuff like that. So it's my understanding that that's one of the hardest parts of that job. I got enough tachyons and rhymes together. Oh, congratulations! But yeah, that's my answer to that question. And I'm sure that I'm forgetting. I'm certain I'm forgetting things in there. But those are the ones that I know about and can think of off the top of my head. And also thank you all, especially like Data Foxy and Addie, for reminding me of some things that I might have otherwise forgotten about. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right, next question is one. I'm sorry, Torg. I'm glad you're able to stay for the answer to the question. All right, I'm sorry, Torg. Next question's Torg's question, and I don't have a good answer to this. I'm sorry, Torg. I confess, I love my Russian fairy tales class. I do not really remember specific Russian fairy tales from it. so I don't really have a good answer to this. But I just really like Baba Yaga. Mostly because I knew about her before coming into the class, and we have this familiarity bias where we like things that we're familiar with. But I really liked Baba Yaga. Sorry. And just like all the stories involving her. Of course, she's a kind of a stock character, but I just always thought she was kind of cool. I was mostly interested in it not for the specific stories, but I liked learning about and the chicken house, exactly, the house, the chicken legs, and the fence that was made of bones and skulls, riding around in her mortar and pestle, eating the children, or sometimes being sort of like a trickster mentor figure. She had a lot going on. Yeah, she's a classic. She's just a old single woman living her best life. But this is going to come as a surprise to no one, but what I was interested in was not the specific no, Data Foxy, I've not read about the take of her in Fables. I did read the first collected volume of Fables, I think. But I did not, I don't believe I got to see the take on her in Fables, which is a darn shame. Maybe I should pick Fables back up. One can only dream the Baba Yaga lifestyle, right? Maybe I can grow up to be like Baba Yaga. I'm going on a trip? Yeah, I'm gonna take my home with me. I guess that's just a motor home, but it's kind of cooler when it's on, like, legs. The magical notion of owning a house. But yeah, it wasn't so much the stories that I found like, the stories were fun, but what I really loved in that story, in that class, to the surprise of no one, was learning about all the mythical creatures. Really loved learning about the Domovoi, really loved learning about the Rusalka, really liked learning about the Leshy. that was what I liked learning about. I'm sorry. It gave me a lot of really interesting thoughts about how, like, there's so many, like, genres of, like, creatures and things like that, and, like, mythological beings and folklore, where it's like, wow, that's really just the same creature that shows up in a whole bunch of different cultures with slight variations. Like the Domovoi. The Domovoi is a house spirit. It is a house spirit, and it lives in your house, and it sleeps in your stove, because they had a very specific type of stove, I believe called, like, a pechka. These were, like, big stoves that you could, like, sleep on top of and stuff, and the Domovoi lives in the stove, which is the heart of the house. And the Domovoi watches all these people, and watches over you, and makes sure your family's safe, but will also play some tricks on you, and you've got to leave food out for the Domovoi and things like that. And the Domovoi really reminded me of, like, brownies, you know, from sort of like, what culture are brownies from? Not brownies the treat, brownies the little folklore spirit. Scottish. Brownie or bruni. That one. Yeah, like, the like, home spirits. And then, like, in Japan, you got the Zashikiwarashi, right? You've got, like, there's a spirit that's in your home, and it plays pranks on you, and maybe it's there to protect you a little bit, but also it might be a little bit dangerous if you get on its bad side. And, like, then you have Rusalkas, which are a lot like, Rusalkas are water spirits. I believe they're very pretty from the front, but they're very ugly and hairy from the back, and they play music, and they lure people into water, and then they drown them. And that's a lot like, you know, not Selkies. It's a lot like a whole bunch of other spirits. It's a lot like sirens, right? Sirens, Rusalkas, and then, like, there's a bunch of, like, you know, musical creatures that are pretty, that lure people into water, right? Like naiads as well, I think. Sea nymphs, that kind of thing. Mermaids, that kind of, my favorite is many cultures think foxes are silly little guys tricksters, but watch out, they might steal your soul. Yeah, like, I think it's so cool and so cross-cultural. Yeah, I think that's what I really loved about that class, was, like, one, learning about all these very interesting, like, creatures and folklore things and, like, things like that, but also just seeing, like, wow, like, there's all these cultures that all have very, very similar concepts and like similar things that have their own like cultural spin on them, but like they share a lot of commonalities and stuff like that. And I always thought that that was super, super cool. That was one of my favorite parts of that class. And just thinking about that, like the concept of nightmares. Oh, have a good dinner, Maury. Sorry. But like the concept of nightmares. Oh yeah, I already had a Dr. Pepper. It's okay, Maury. I'm not gonna have another one. Here we have the Lara as the equivalent for mermaids. Oh, that's so cool. And like you'll have individual ghosts as well. Like La Llorona is a bit similar to that sort of thing as well. And like, this is a topic that I just find super fascinating. And just also like learning how like the myths, you know how there's always like that vampire versus werewolf sort of thing? No, I'm not going to defy Maury. Maury let me have extra Dr. Pepper. Oh, Iara? Not Lara? Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. But yeah. I don't know. But yeah. There's always this like vampires versus werewolf. But I learned in that class like vampires and werewolves actually appear to have a very like kind of a common origin in folklore. Like they were kind of the same thing and gradually became more distinct and stuff like that. And cool shit. Why are I and L so similar? It's shitty fonts. Shitty fonts. We need better fonts. Fonts that make it easier to distinguish between capital I and lowercase l. Or capital O and 0. We need better fonts that do that. Comic Sans. We need serifs. I don't know if serifs would help with capital I and lower... Well, I guess it kind of would if you got the bars on the I. Comic Sans, yeah, these... There's that whole collection of like dyslexia-friendly fonts. And yeah, that would definitely help with that problem. All right, let's check out the next question. Before we come up with a new font, we need a cool name for the font. Any ideas? Let's just name it after Calcium Compadre. That's a pretty cool name. Okay. So the next one is from Astral, and this is one that I don't have a good answer to because I've never heard of it. I've never heard of this. Oh, what have I done? So I don't have a good answer. Font 2. We have better fonts. We need to shun people who don't use them. I agree, Penguin. I agree. Okay. So I'm sorry, Mylan, because the sheriffs are sheaths. That's an interesting way of thinking about it. So, I don't know what the gunpowder plot is. So I'm gonna have to Google this. I'm sorry. I'm American. Have a good one, Oni. Take care. Have a good one. Thank you for dropping in. Remember. I was wondering, Foxy, if it was related to that. Remember the 5th of November. Something, forgot something. I don't know. But I don't know. How would I rank it? I feel like I need to know a hell of a lot more about it before I try and rank it. I can think of no reason that gunpowder treason should ever be forgotten. Oh, there you go. Gunpowder treason. I see. I don't know. I don't know that much about it, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I can't rank it. It sounds like it was somebody leaked the plot ahead of time. And then it was discovered and people ran away and there was a last stand? They didn't actually get to do, like, it got leaked. Which kind of feels like it should be ranked kind of low. Like, if we're ranking them based on effectiveness, then I imagine it would be ranked kind of low. If we're ranking these conspiracies in terms of did they lead to a catchy rhyme, then it would be pretty near the top, I imagine. What are we ranking them on? Like, I don't know enough about it to really rank it, but, like, it depends on what we're ranking them on, right? Wait, no, is Catsby Cromwell succeed? What? Oh, what? Cromwell... I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything. Oh yeah, it was famously poorly organized. One of the plotters sent a letter going, "Don't come into Parliament tomorrow." Okay. In terms of overall effectiveness and achieving the goal and just general, like, achieving, like, following through on the conspiracy, organization, secrecy, I think that this is pretty low. In terms of, like, overall historical fame and catchy names and or catchy rhymes and inspiring memes, like that, an amalgam of those things, cultural impact, let's call it. In terms of cultural impact, not due to the outcome of it, but just the cultural whatever, I think it ranks kind of high. Cromwell was the leader of England. We were a republic for like a century. He banned Christmas. I did it. Oh my god. Yeah, Guy Fawkes. The guy. Yeah. That. Yeah. I don't know too much. Something V for Vendetta. Something. That one certain group from a certain forum that adopted those masks. Something. Anyway. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think it depends on what we're ranking it on. And I think that's the best answer that I'm going to be able to give you at the moment. Sorry. Worm. Oh. All right, let's do the next. I'm getting hungry. So I'm gonna keep going. All right, let's see. This next one is from Anonymous. So I do not know who has sent this question, but I shall do my best to answer it. Is there a chance for fundamentals of complete guides for learning psychology and or statistics and other disciplines to be covered on the channel? I mean, potentially. I don't think I'll be able to do a complete guide. I feel like that's probably beyond me. But I did do that series on Intro to Statistics. I am planning on adding a few more lectures to the statistics series covering regression and things like that. And I am currently debating, planning, sort of considering doing a series on research methods in psychology that I mentioned. And I think after that, I would probably like to do more lecture series and stuff like that. So I don't think I'd be able to do a complete guide, but I am very much interested in covering more aspects of both psychology and research and how research and stats are done in psychology. It will never be complete. It will never be complete. Certainly, there will always be more to learn. Things will update in past lectures that I've given and things like that. But I would very much like to cover more. I would very much like to cover more, and I am planning to cover more. Time to force Elf Moo to watch the statistics VODs? Please don't. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't. Spare that poor guy. For those of you who don't know, Elf Moo is a math VTuber who recently debuted, and he hates statistics, as many mathematicians do. And I am scared of math, but I like statistics, which in that sense, I believe that we are oil and water. I have briefly talked to Alf. He seems like a wonderful person. I've heard only good things about him. You should probably check out his channel, I guess. But I feel like if he watched my statistics VODs, he would have a horrible reaction. And I feel like if I watched his math VODs, I would have something akin to an allergic reaction of the brain and the emotions. I'm not sure. Perfect collab opportunity. Aren't they the same thing? Oh my god. He's rolling over in his not grave. He's not dead, but like similar. But he just got like a chill down his spine that you're saying these things in my chat. I imagine. I don't know him that well, but I imagine that's the vibes. Combined oil and water makes salad dressing. True. Maybe I should have salad for dinner. I'm so hungry. But yeah, I am planning to cover more. I would love to cover more. I'll never be able to do it, but I'd love to cover more. I'll never be able to do complete, but I would love to cover more. I am planning to cover more, yes. Astral. I'm looking at the next questions. I'm going to skip Astral's next two questions. I'm going to skip them because... Here, I'll tell you what they are. I need to get more notebooks if you do. Hell yeah, taking notes in physical notebooks is the way to go. No, okay, so Astral's next two questions. Here, fine, I'll put them on the slides so that you can see what the next two questions are. And then I'm not going to answer them for reasons that I stated earlier, which is that I don't remember specific Russian fairy tales enough to do this. And I suspect that, knowing Astral, I suspect he asked these questions specifically because I said that. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I'm kidding. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. I took this class. I probably took this class. I'm thinking things that make me. I probably took this class 15 years ago. I probably took it 15 years ago. Maybe even longer ago. So I don't. I don't remember any specific fairy tales. So I can't answer this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right. I'm calling this one. This can be the last question because I am getting very, very hungry, and it's my first stream back after a while. So, shaking my head, yeah. This is the last question that I have in there, and I'm gonna stop it here. You can still keep asking questions, and I'll just answer them on another day. But for now, we've got Tyler. No, don't autocorrect that. I spelled it right. We have the final question of the stream from Tylenol. How was your day? I don't have any questions, just wanted to participate and say hi. My day was good. I had a good day. I had a very good day today. I didn't really do much. My cat didn't let me sleep. Mr. Kitty started screaming at 7:30 a.m. He didn't want anything. I went to check on him, and he didn't want anything outside of attention, I think. And he screamed from 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. straight, demanding attention whenever I tried to sleep. So that was rough. But other than that, the rest of the day, I had a doctor's appointment, and that went fine. And the rest of the day has just been like, you know that thing where, like, you know you have something to do later in the day, and then you just feel like, well, the day is booked and I can't do anything else? That was me with this stream. So really today, I had a doctor's appointment. I got woken up early. I sat down, I stared at a wall. I really have not done much today, but it's been a good day. It's been a good day. I have a mouth that I must scream. That is Mr. Kitty's mouth. Oh my god, he's being so cute. Mr. Kitty, I love you to death. Just not when you're waking me up at 7:30 a.m. I think he's thrown off, because, like, I was waking up, like, 7 or 8 a.m. to, like, commute into work for, you know, the past however many months. And now I don't have to commute for work. I can work remotely because there's no classes going on currently because it's the summer. The semester's over. And I think it's throwing him off that now I'm sleeping in past the usual time. And he's like, oh, I'm going to be so helpful. Mylan's sleeping in. They're going to be late to work. I'm going to be so helpful. And then he wakes me up and I'm like, ugh. I did the same thing, took my car in for oil change and maintenance and decided to take work off and just been staring at it. I feel you, Tyler. Oh man, that reminds me of a story. Do you want me to tell you a story of a very painful thing that happened to me in the past couple of weeks? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it because I think it's a funny story. And I feel like it describes the kind of vibe that my life has had lately. So I have a car. But I rarely ever use it. Can you share any pictures of Mr. Kitty? I won't share pictures of Mr. Kitty for privacy reasons, unfortunately. Because inevitably there will be something in the background of Mr. Kitty. But I can show a picture that I drew of Mr. Kitty on that stream I did with Eggy before my hiatus. Or I can show a cat that looks like Mr. Kitty. I will show you a cat that looks like Mr. Kitty so you can envision Mr. Kitty in his true majesty. This is a cat that looks very much like Mr. Kitty. One second. We believe Mr. Kitty is this sort of cat. A Nebelung. We believe Mr. Kitty is a Nebelung. And this picture looks very, very, very much like Mr. Kitty. This is what Mr. Kitty looks like. He's a big floofy man. He's got a mane. He is objectively the best cat in the entire world. Here's another one. Here's another one that looks a lot like him. And specifically, hey Xenotime, how you doing? I hope that you have a good meeting. Hey, how did you get my cat? I kidnapped your cat. Is Mr. Kitty the thing on your shoulder in the thumbnail? Oh no, that's Maury. The thing on my shoulder in the thumbnail. That's not a thing, that's Maury. Yes, Mr. Kitty's the best of all the cats. It's true. It's true. Yeah, no, the thumbnail's Maury. I don't remember if I ever got that that picture, that depiction approved by Maury, but it's intended to be Maury. Yeah, Mr. Kitty is such a good kitty. Here's another one that looks a lot like Mr. Kitty. This is many Mr. Kitties. Oh, I can't get the picture. Right. Oh, there. This looks just like Mr. Kitty. That looks just like Mr. Kitty. My perfect little man. He's my favorite baby boy in the entire world. Mr. Kitty's the same cat, just being teleported to different houses, entirely possible. So grumpy. He does look kind of grumpy sometimes. I'm glad I got out of the tower in time to catch Kitty. He's a good kitty. There are so many good kitties in this world, yes. So I can't show you my kitty, but I can at least show you pictures that look very, very similar to my kitty. Like electrons. I'm trying to get the picture that I drew with Eggy, but I can't seem to grab it, which is a shame. Oh well. Anyway, story time, right? So I have a car, but I rarely ever drive this car because I happen to live in an area that has pretty good public transit. It's not like I can't get everywhere that I need to go, but I can get almost everywhere that I need to go. So maybe I drive like once a month at the most. Sometimes I will go for like 2 or 3 months without driving at all, which, as you may know, if you own a car, you have to drive your car or else the battery will die. But, you know, I've had this car for a very long time, and I rarely ever drive it, and I have had some battery problems in the past, but things have been going well. And I only went about 1 month between driving my car this time. So I order a pizza, and I order it for pickup. I don't like doing delivery. So I order a pizza for pickup, and they're like, okay, it's going to be ready in 10 minutes. I'm like, that's about how long it'll take me to drive there. So I go down, I get in my car, I try and start my car, it will not start. My car will not start. Battery is completely dead. Pizza time, pizza time. Solar panel. I don't know if where I live is sunny enough for a solar panel to be a good choice. But my car will not start. And this is deeply embarrassing, because now I have to call the pizza place and be like, so I can't. Being serious, solar panel battery trickle charger will fix that. Maybe I should do that. It wouldn't have fixed this problem, though, King Quinn. Anyway, the car would not start, so I'm like, I just give up. I called them, I asked them to please switch the pizza to delivery. They were very wonderful. They were very I told them if it's not possible, that's totally fine. But they were like, no, it's fine. We'll switch to delivery. They delivered the pizza. I gave them a huge tip because they deserved it. They were the best. And then the next morning, I'm like, okay, well, I need to go and run an errand, and I need my car for this errand. So I try and start my car again. Car is dead. Car is so dead. Car is deader than dead. So I call somebody to help. I call a roadside assistance company, and they come over. And they check my battery, and they're like, yeah, your battery's dead. They give it an emergency charge or whatever, and then they're like, okay, just drive your car around, like, drive your car around for like half an hour, maybe an hour, and it should be all right. I'm like, cool, awesome. Cool, awesome. So I drive to my errand, I go, I grab, like, whatever I needed to buy, and then I get back in my car, I try and start my car, dead. Dead again. The deadest of dead batteries. This battery is, it's not even trying anymore. It's like, like, oh no. Oh no. Well, this is embarrassing. I have to call the roadside assistance company again. And thank God it was a different guy. It was a completely different guy that came in. They don't even work at the same office, apparently. There are different satellite offices. Thank God, because I was so embarrassed, because I didn't quite drive half an hour. I didn't quite drive half an hour. Or the car part. Yeah, that's probably smart. Yeah, if the battery's toast, it's toast. I would have told you to leave it running until you got back home. Yeah. I made mistakes. I made mistakes. But I did, he told me it would be fine though if I drove like half an hour or so, and I didn't quite drive half an hour. I drove a little under that, so I felt like this was my fault. I felt I was deeply embarrassed. But I needed to get the car home. I couldn't just leave the car there. And also, there wasn't really any public transit that went between my place and the place where I was running errands, which is why I drove in the first place. So a different guy comes. I open the hood. He looks in at the battery. He looks at me. He looks at the battery again. And this is before he's even hooked up his battery tester. And he says, 2018. And then he says again, 2018. 2018? I'm like, yeah, I guess. It looks like, yeah, looks like the last time I got a new battery was 2018. He's like, it's 2020. I was like, yes. Yes, it is indeed 2020. That is the current year. Unless I have hit my head. He's like, do you know how long a battery is supposed to last? It's like, not really. He goes, 4 to 5 years. This is from 2018. It is 2026. This battery survived for 8 years. You must have been taking very good care of it and driving very often. And I just look at him and I'm like, no. No. I drive maybe once a month. Sometimes I go 3 months without driving at all, and the car just sits there. I have not popped my hood in years. I have not popped my hood to look at the battery in years. I barely drive this thing. I drive this thing maybe 8 times a year. And he just looks at me. And I look at him. And he looks at me. And I look at him. And he says, how did you do this? I don't know. I don't know. I was like, well, maybe it's because I don't drive it that much. Because I don't know much about cars. So I was like, well, maybe because I don't drive it that much. And he's like, you don't understand. That should have made it last, like, a lot less. It should have lasted much less than 4 to 5 years with that kind of driving. And I'm like, oh. Oh. And so he was very kind. He, like, he tested my battery and he's like, yeah, this thing is essentially a rotten corpse, and I have no idea how you were able to get here. Even if you got a jump start, I have no idea how the jump start worked. I have no idea how you were able to get here. I have no idea. Yeah, Darth, I think, like, the second guy was kind of like, why the hell didn't that, like, I would never have let one of my employees, like, I'm glad this wasn't one of my employees, because I never would have let one of my employees just leave you like that without telling you to get a replacement battery or replacing the battery or, like, going to an auto part. Yeah, like, but, yeah, he tested the battery, he replaced the battery, and the entire time he was replacing the battery, just periodically, he would, like, lean back and stare into the engine and just go, 2018. Believe in the heart of the car, believe in the car that believes in you. It seems to be working out pretty well for me. But anyway, that's my story. That's why he replaced the battery. He was very, very kind, very, very nice. And I drove home and my car is running better than ever. And I am once again swearing to myself that I'm going to drive it more often. And I'm once again certain that it's not actually going to happen. I've become a story for him to tell. Yeah, he said he was going to tell the guys about this. Apparently, though, I was the second person that day who had a 2018 battery, and he was like, what is going on? What is in the water? And I'm like, I'm sorry, but that's wild. I don't know. What I'm hearing is everybody Mylan meets is nice. I'd say the vast majority of people that I meet are nice. I would say so. Like the first guy was very, very nice too. He was really nice. He was really chill. I guess I do kind of wish he had told me like just how bad the battery situation was, but he was really nice. He was really nice. And I think it's all the more impressive when like people in that business are really nice, because like roadside assistance people, they're probably meeting people at their most stressed. A lot of the people that they deal with are probably in a really horrendous mood, and being able to come into that interaction and just be nice and chill and laid back, I thought that was really incredible. I was like, man, you are so great for that. You're an awesome person. Like, thank you for being so nice when I'm sure that you get chewed out a lot at your job for things that are not your fault and stuff like that. Most people are nice whether or not they meet Mylan. Yeah, I think so. I think that most people are nice, and if people are being mean, I generally think, yeah, yeah, I generally think that most people who are being mean because they're having a bad day. Is that true of every single person on Earth? I don't know, but I think, honestly, I think that the world is a better place if you just tend to assume that. Or maybe it's, I don't know. But in my experience, that has largely been the case. Time to look into the psychology of it, maybe. I mean, the ones that aren't chill probably get too stressed and quit. Probably so, probably so. The second guy said, like, he was the head of his office, and he specifically looks for people who don't, like, take out their stress on other people. Like, that's a job interview question he asks, because he's like, I want you to know that this is going to be an environment where people are you're interacting with people who are very stressed out and in a very bad mood, and I want to be sure that you can handle that without lashing out at them. And I was like, wow, that's a really, like, thoughtful thing to think of during the hiring process. But yeah, both of them were very, very nice, and it worked out, but, like, it was a whole thing. I really need to either just drive more or sell my car, and I don't know which I'm going to do. So that's my story. Anyway, I think I'm gonna end it there, if that's okay with everybody. It's nice to be back. It's nice to be back. I don't know when my next stream or video is gonna be. Solar trickle charger. Yeah, maybe I might have to look into that. Might have to look into that. Get a solar panel until then, maybe. But for now, I am going to go and get some rest and get some dinner. What about a wind turbine? I don't know. Enjoy your night. Yeah, y'all enjoy your nights, enjoy your days, enjoy whatever time of it is. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Have a good rest. Yeah, you too. Have a good rest. It's been lovely being back. Hopefully then I'll see you again soon, whether it's in a stream format or video format. I'm not sure. Probably won't be until week after next at the earliest, because I have some stuff to take care of. But yeah. Yeah, take care, everybody. Have a lovely day. And I will see you later. Bye.